Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. I would like to encourage everyone on my Facebook friends list, everyone in my social groups, and all of my listeners from around the globe. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to my YouTube page, and share this video podcast on all social media sites you are on, such as Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, or LinkedIn, ladies and gentlemen. This video podcast is available in three forms: audio, video, and as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. I am the founder and president of GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement. Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast is our Black media component. For those of you who don't know me, then get to know me by purchasing and reading my story, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition. It's available as an ebook for $9.99 or as a paperback for $15 plus shipping and handling. I provide the link to my Amazon author page in the comment section below this video podcast. After you have read my story, and if you agree with my vision and plan to improve Black America, specifically Black Chicago, then make arrangements with me to come on this show and get on camera and let's talk about it and encourage others to get involved with our cause and to back this film project. We have upgraded our platform by moving from an audio podcast to a video podcast using StreamYard. We want to interact with our audience in real time through Facebook Messenger during our live stream. I created GRCAM in order to connect with like-minded Black Americans, like-minded African immigrants within the United States of America, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, and Afro-Brazilians, as well as continental Africans. I encourage everyone on my Facebook page or in my social groups who are Black entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, Black artists, African artists, Black authors, African artists, musicians, poets, community advocates, or spiritual leaders to make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that you can promote what you're doing or selling, or even share a 30-minute sermon with my listeners from the global community. We want to grow this platform for the global African community throughout the diaspora. For 32 years, Black Americans, specifically Black Chicagoans, has taken me for a joke. They have rejected and overlooked my vision and plan to help improve the African American community. All I have is my revised book, my virtual store, my online social groups, and this platform. My film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group in America before I cut and run to Africa. I want the whole Black world to know who we are and what we are trying to do for the African American community and the African immigrant community for credibility before we expand to Africa, Brazil, and the Caribbean. Work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait until I am dead. This is why I'm reaching out to African immigrants within the United States of America to help speed up the process. I encourage African immigrants in America from the following African nations: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. Please do me a favor. Purchase my revised book and read my story. If you agree with my vision and plan for Black America, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform and get on camera and let's talk about it and encourage others to get involved with our cause as well as to back my film project. Share my information with all of your friends, including your non-Black friends. This will help speed up the process. Our aim is to raise $250,000. We are using crowdfunding. We have our GoFundMe page and our PayPal page. If you are a U.S. citizen, then you can use our PayPal page as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit, faith-based, and community advocacy organization. In my Christian business, we will raise the bar in Black America. We will separate ourselves from con artists, black ballet, degenerates, democratic chills, hardened criminals, pedophiles, off-code Negroes, and urban terrorists. Those who reject my vision and plan will not be part of my Christian business because this is membership-based. We will pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it moving. The question at hand, how long will it take for us to get this film project fully funded and made? The answer is up to the Black grassroots and the global African family. We encourage non-Black sympathizers to patronize our film project, but it's Black Americans and African immigrants who are GRCAM members' responsibility to build this organization and to own it. I try to host my show every week in order to engage people on my friends list and people in my social groups until I am able to get my film project fully funded and made. Once the proceeds from the film starts coming in, then I will be in a better position financially to purchase property in Chicago, buy office equipment, hire qualified Black middle-class professionals and African immigrants within the United States to work with me in building my Christian business, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago, for credibility before I cut and run to Africa. I refuse to be ignored. This is why I created this platform, because I want the Black world to hear me loud and clear. Those of you who will work with me and get behind this film project will go down in history with me and Sister Renee. Lord knows I would like to do more than just news and social commentaries, but at this point, this is where I'm at. I'm working on a shoestring budget. All of my funds go towards bills, food, and rent. Without financial support from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, and that is to build the best African-American business within the United States of America, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. This is a Nehemiah assignment. And again, I do not operate like the next Black man. I have my own style and way of doing things. You don't have to like me, but you will respect me. Those of you who have rejected my vision and plan for the past 32 years will not be part of my Christian business, again, because it's membership-based. And we are declaring war on this Willie Lynch mentality. So help me God. The sooner we get this film project fully funded and made and established in Chicago, the sooner I can turn the business over and expand the business on the African continent. Upcoming events. Please mark your calendar for the following date for our monthly virtual conference, Facebook Live. Saturday, August 31st, 2024. Theme, Waging War Against a 400-Year Mentality, Willie Lynch. Where? Facebook Live/StreamYard. Time, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. American Central Time, 3 p.m. Canadian Time, 8 p.m. West African Time, 9 p.m. South African Time, 10 p.m. East African Time, and 8 p.m. UK Time. Title of this presentation: Black Jobs versus Black Wealth, and Black Women Help Raise $1.5 million within 3 hours for Kamala Harris political campaign. Why can't Black Americans use that same energy towards supporting my film project and to help build Ghettos of Chicago? Our first topic: Black jobs versus Black wealth. Today, I will be dropping science, meaning I will be talking about something important. Before I go into my presentation, I need to drop a disclaimer. This is not about financial advice. This is my personal experience, and we will be teaching our members and students in my Christian business about financial issues. We're talking about Black jobs. What is a Black job? They are jobs occupied by Black people. When we talk about Black jobs, I would rather hear about Black wealth or Black-owned businesses. We've had Black jobs since American slavery. We're working hard through this platform to encourage our listeners from the global community to support our work, such as my revised book, items from my virtual store, and getting behind our film project so that we can move the grassroots community activist movement to the big screen and generate enough capital to build the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. That's something I'm working very hard to do. I hope and pray to get this established in America first, because I plan on expanding Ghettos of Chicago in 10 African nations before I die, God's willing. I'm leaving a percentage of my future wealth to the business to show future Black American children and future African immigrant children whose parents are GCAM members all of the hard work that I've been trying to do for them through my writings and my video podcasts. They will understand all of the pushback I received from Black Chicagoans for the past 32 years. And it did not stop me from doing my calling, which is to help my racial group in America. All of the hard work I have been putting in this platform every week. Our focus is on building the best African American business within the United States of America and beyond. And that's what I want to be remembered for. I had a nice Black job working as a GED instructor, but deep in my heart, I knew I had a greater calling. That Black job was not contributing to a Black legacy. That Black job was only going to make the company I worked for great. It wasn't going to make the legacy of Emmanuel Barbee. It wasn't going to do anything for the African American community because the company I worked for had their own agenda and it was not consistent with a Black agenda. For me, Black economic empowerment is Black liberation. The reason we don't have Black liberation is because the majority of Black Americans work for white America, which means white people will always have more power than you because You will never have more power than your boss, especially if you're living paycheck to paycheck. That's just a fact. We're in a real life game of Monopoly, and you really don't want to lose this game due to a lack of understanding of social economics or a lack of preparation or a lack of economic consciousness. We need to commit ourselves to making sure that our children learn about financial literacy and economics at an early age. And that's what we're going to do in Greater Chicago. This is a battle plan that I know will help turn around our inner cities in America and in Africa. Once Greater Chicago is established, then if any of our members or students have a good movie script and want to turn their movie script into a film, we'll have a panel to review the material. We will also offer writing classes for potential authors, filmmaking, and more. These white supremacist financial elites want to colonize everything they come in contact with. These people who have wealth and influence are able to utilize people who are financially desperate. Since they lack the capital, they're not able to operate on a level where they're thinking about greatness or legacy. They are only focusing on paying the bills. It's okay to have a plan B, sometimes to fall back on, just in case you are unable to reach your life goals. You're just preparing for your next option in case you don't reach your first goal. Going back to black jobs, you're not using black jobs to build black wealth. When you get to the point where your black job converts to black wealth, then you have made it. When you take a percentage of that income you made and invest in something that's going to build wealth long term, that is important because black wealth is your plan B. For example, the Microsoft protests, what bothered me about it was how much the protesters were dependent on Microsoft. The same thing happened with Delta Airlines. I'm looking at those protesters and thinking that they have a plan B. If you're talking about building your family wealth and you're talking about economic security, then ask yourself, what is my plan B? A good plan B, economically speaking, is having residual income. Residual income is money that continues to flow after an investment of time and resources has been completed. It consists of multiple streams of income from such things as having a virtual store, writing and publishing your own book, teaching others certain skills online. All of that is important for Black Americans and Africans to know, in addition to having that black job, that your company can be taken away from you at any moment. It's best to develop other streams of income, 2, 3, or even 4 streams of income in the event that one of those streams may shut down for whatever reason. You got other ways to pay your bills or buy groceries. The preservation of family is one of the most economically devastating skills that the white supremacist financial elites took away from African people because they destroyed our families during slavery. They targeted black families during the 60s through programs like the War on poverty, and then in the 80s, war on drugs. Now everybody's scrambling, trying to do it all by themselves, and that reduces your financial security, which makes you very vulnerable to racist capitalist systems that are designed to exploit and control you and your family. So having multiple streams of income is the first line of defense. This is the most important thing for Black Americans, and is more important than Democrat or Republican issues, because if they control your economics, then they control your life. If anyone can control your ability to feed your family and who can take away your livelihood or income, that alone can tell you that you are dependent on them for your daily bread. This is what we will be teaching our members and students about, the importance of having multiple streams of income. It's critical and essential when you live in a capitalist society. When I had that Black job and making income, I took a percentage of that income towards saving and investing. That gave me financial security. That's what protects you financially. Having collateral that you can use during an emergency. When something happens that you don't expect, Black Americans are the most vulnerable group in this nation. It's my hope, once we get Greater Chicago established, then we can create the first Black financial literacy courses aimed at improving Black Americans and African immigrant status within our communities and neighborhoods. We will also help improve the health and well-being of our members and students through our health and wellness component. We will focus on diseases which is affecting the African American community at a very high rate, is not being treated, and it's causing all kinds of chaos. We will focus on collective healing from the scars of slavery and colonization through our trauma program. The reason your relationship is not working out may be connected to past trauma. The reason you may certain financial decision that is not beneficial to you may be connected to past trauma. But nobody wants to hear me, because nobody wants to talk about that kind of thing. A majority of Black Americans would rather talk about silly stuff, but for those of you who are serious about success, serious about self-preservation, then we will deal with this head on. Our members and students will learn to not be broken people any longer. We're declaring war on this Willie Lynch mentality, and for African immigrants, they're going to heal from colonization through the business. We will focus on building wealth for our communities and neighborhoods, as well as within our families. We will focus on how to handle conflict resolution and learn how to get along with each other. We can't build Black institutions with those who just look like us. They're melanated, but they're white supremacist sympathizers. In other words, in their little mindset, they think it's okay for us as Black people and African people to remain slaves. Just ridiculous. Their goal is to undermine Black progress in the African American community, and that's why we will separate ourselves from them, regardless if they're family or friends. They are people out here that hope you will remain financially desperate um, buried under student loans. They need you to be ignorant. They don't want you to know what's going on. They want you to be distracted. Jesus/Yahshua has called me to build Gurkai of Chicago and teach my members and students about economic security, building an alliance with African nations, Caribbean nations, and Brazil. I believe that winning the game of economics is the key to winning the game of life. And most of all, having the Lord Jesus Christ to be part of your life. But again, that's going to be optional for people that's secular. All I care about, as long as we're on the same page, that we want to do something positive for our racial groups. So we're going to make that happen and weed out people that don't mean us any good. If you are financially free, you have a massive constraint taken off of you. I am bringing my Christian business to the Black ghettos where my people are struggling and being overlooked by American society. They think because they're Black and poor, that is what it's supposed to be. No, it was created by the white supremacist financial elites. There's nothing about being Black that says we're supposed to struggle. For example, God gave Africa to melanated people. The African continent has the majority of diamonds, gold, minerals, and oil. This is what attracted Europeans to Africa in the first place. And this is why we are in this mess. My aunt used to tell me, when you're Black, you have to work twice as hard to advance in this country. I believe it because if you're working for white Americans, then they use all sorts of tactics to make it a little harder for us to compete in the workforce. But what my aunt didn't tell me is that I can create my own business and make an impact in my community and make the change I want to see through my business. I could make real opportunities to my people that want more out of life. This is why I went to college, to learn the ins and outs about running a business. Real talk, it's not white America that's giving me pushback, it's Black America, specifically Black Chicagoans. What a shame. Stop worrying about white privilege and start focusing on creating Black privilege. Through my Christian business, we will manufacture Black privilege and African privilege domestically and internationally by being committed to Gurkai of Chicago and its success. But Gurkai members, we're going to have to build this business because all it is right now is just ideas in the book. Please purchase my book. Help get that book on that bestsellers list so that way the world can take us serious. All my listeners that's listening to this video podcast, I need you to do your part. I can't do everything. I'm just one Black man with a vision and a plan. It takes a team to make a dream work. The Ghettos Chicago mission is to help eradicate urban violence in Chicago through art, culture, commerce, spiritual development, and hosting African and Caribbean tours. We want to promote economic opportunities in the African American community and in the African immigrant community. By being an advocate and resource for both communities, support and accelerate business development and growth for Black Americans and African immigrants, serving business owners in order to strengthen their participation and impact on the economy. Rakai of Chicago envisions a diverse culture where Black businesses owners have an equitable opportunity to compete and succeed in the global market and achieve economic independence. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago will focus on promoting strengthening the Black family, improving the African immigrant communities and African American community, creating more Black businesses and African immigrant businesses. Rakai of Chicago will offer vocational skill training, financial coaching, associate's degree programs, film classes such as digital filmmaking, directing, documentary, screenwriting, networking opportunities, and journalism, blockchain technology, coding, and computer graphics. On this platform, we promote Black economic empowerment. Wealth creation is the key to survival in a capitalist society. When we talk about inequality, social economics, and systematic racism, it's important to understand the root causes of these issues. We currently don't have the economic power to control our communities and neighborhoods that are all done by design. It's important to know what happened to the African American community. We have about 1.6 trillion in spending power. Most of that money doesn't circulate in the Black community. At least 80 to 90% of our retail spending goes to non-Black owned businesses. So Black owned businesses can't grow because we starve them of capital. Black consumers are attracted to the luxury market where we spend disproportionately more on high-end brand compared to other groups. Maybe the reason we complain about money is because we spend all of our money on name brand items. The Black community spends $4.5 billion a year on fast food, driven by targeting market and limited access to healthier food options. We spend over $15 billion a year on new cars and used cars. We spend $2 billion a year on entertainment, including movies, concerts, and video games. And we have no ownership, and that's not cool. That's why I'm trying to create this business so that way we can control those things that, we consume a lot. That's all. Very little ownership in those industries. Other people own the industry, so they sell us the access to our entertainment. We spend money on gym membership and all that, but even with that, we face higher rates of health issues like diabetes and hypertension. You may be spending more time with the job than with your family and kids, and that could be causing you stress. There's lots of studies that shows that Black people are very stressed out when they go to work every day. American capitalists don't work very well. We have a society that is failing because of our obsession with making money. These super PACs are raising $3 to $4 billion, and it's just make politics all about money. Our politicians can't do right by the voters because they have to answer to their donors, which are the people that fund their political campaign. The reason why I do these topics every week is to wake up Black America and to confront this exploitation and destruction that is going on in the African American community. If you are financially established, then you can have healthy relationships because you can afford to get married and you don't have to argue about finances. If you have your finances in order, then everything else will fall in place. When we talk about Black wealth, just understand that wealth is your greatest form of power in America. We got to do right by our children. They are our responsibilities, nobody else's. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago will be a research institute that will perform community research and community advocacy. It will also be a Black grassroots and global African organization aimed at creating a Black think tank and an African think tank. A think tank is a body of experts providing advice and ideas on specific political or social economic issues. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to get support for these types of Black businesses. Notice, very few Black celebrities give money to help get these startup business up and running. My question to Black America, do you think that the slave codes of 1705 intentionally inflicted psychological harm on Black Americans? The slave codes were laws that severely restricted enslaved people's behavior and were meant to prevent slave uprisings and rebellions. The white supremacist financial elite's main problem was how they could control African people, so they created slave codes in order to manage their slaves by imposing harsh physical punishments like public beatings or lynching in order to keep their slaves in line. Today, many Black Americans care nothing about Black children. They care nothing about what is happening in our inner cities within the low-income African American community. They care nothing about the senseless violence that these kids have to endure on a weekly basis. Not having Black businesses in a Black neighborhood is a reflection on us. We have to constantly encourage African Americans to support Black businesses because a majority of Black Americans are patronizing non-Black businesses. Then you wonder why we have few to no Black businesses in our communities. I think that makes us look bad when we're willingly supporting other groups who have a business in our community or neighborhood, but these same groups don't patronize our Black businesses. Like I mentioned many times before, Black America have become Americanized and developed narcissist behavior. For example, November 10th of 2024 will mark 33 years that I have been pushing my vision and plan, and still I'm on first base. After 15 years of being rejected and overlooked by Black Chicagoans, both online and in real life, I took the initiative to write and publish my story of trying to build a positive Black business that will meet the need of the Black family and the Black community. After 5 years of writing my story, I finally got it published in 2010. I also did all of the paperwork to prove that this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based community advocacy organization. Every year I pay the city, the state, and the IRS to secure this business title, and yet I still have little to no support for my cause. Lord have mercy on my racial group. My critics tell me to just relocate to another city. I explained to them it doesn't matter which city I relocate to, it would be the same problem because that Willie Lynch mentality is within Black America nationwide. I wish I had more people like Sister Renee working with me. She has been working with me for the past 12 years. She prefers to be behind the scenes. I told her as soon as I'm able to get this film project fully funded and made and the proceeds start pouring in from the film, then I will be in a better position financially to openly reward her for all the hard work she has done by dedicating a local chapter. Gurkai, we will have that in West Memphis, Arkansas, for her support. For me, this is not just business, this is also personal. Before I cut and run to Africa, I want the whole Black world to know my story and who we are and what we're trying to do for our people who are trapped in American ghettos starting in Chicago. It's my hope that Gurkai of Chicago will become the best African American business within the United States of America. It's my hope that Gurkai of Chicago will also become a international franchise, just like McDonald's. It's my revised book has been on Amazon for the past 12 years and still barely selling. The same thing for items on my virtual store. This is why it's important that everyone on my Facebook friends list, everyone in my social groups, everyone on my Instagram page, everyone on my TikTok page, and everyone on my LinkedIn page to get behind this film project. Also read my story. Help get that book on that bestsellers list so that way I can move this thing forward. We are going to separate ourselves from those who doesn't mean us any good within our communities. Disrespecting our Black queens, all that makes us look bad among the international community. I believe that accountability starts with Black men. I can't talk about what the women are doing without first addressing our brothers. American slavery was dependent on the ability of the slave owners to control the Black man in order for them to control Black men and maintain their power. They created the Willie Lynch mentality. First, they had to find the most masculine man on the plantation and torture him in front of other slaves to get them to behave and to comply. For example, in hip hop, one of the most masculine spaces for young Black men, alpha male behavior, but it's not real alpha male, it's more beta male behavior. Hip hop is not a Black owned business, it's a white owned business with Black employees. You'll see rappers beef with each other. They'll shoot and kill one another, but you will never see a Black rapper beefing with a Jewish CEO of a record label. Remember what happened to Kanye West. He lost billions of dollars within a few hours just for trash talking against the Jewish community. Whatever happened to freedom of speech? We're bad. We're bad and tough when it comes to fighting against each other. But we don't have that same smoke when it comes to these other groups. The white supremacist financial elites love Black men as long as they are on the basketball court or in the football field making money for them. Slavery in America was successful because the white supremacist financial elites developed effective techniques to control and the behavior of both Black males and Black female slaves that was passed down to their children from generation to generation. The purpose of these slave codes was to create a population of slaves that were docile, compliant, and would never rise up against their slave owners. The slave codes formalized many control techniques. Slavery broke Black people's independence will be shaped shaping the attitudes of African people, black people. The goal was not just to control the black male slaves, it was also to control their children. My goal is to create Gakai of Chicago so that like-minded black Americans and like-minded African immigrants can heal from enslavement and colonization. I want our members and students to learn the ins and outs of starting nonprofits and for-profit businesses so that they can create jobs for black people and African people, as well as do international trade among our brothers and sisters in Africa, Brazil, and in the Caribbean. The white supremacist financial elites use harsh physical punishment to encourage black slaves to submit to them and to slavery in order to break their independent will. They did this by demeaning the black man in front of his family so that it was clear that the black man was unable to protect his family. I believe black men have to build our own businesses. The role of males is to provide for the family, and also to protect his family, provide leadership and training to their children. We are responsible for our own fate. I have ran across a lot of black Americans who were resistant to my ideas about us taking responsibility of our own plight. That's why I started to realize that this is my calling because of a legacy of American slavery. Black Americans need resources from the dominant society called reparations. In Great Chicago, we will support the voices of black men and the voices of black women in our community. I hope and pray that this conversation was beneficial to you and your family. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comment section below this video podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic, black women helped raise $1.5 million within 3 hours for Kamala Harris' political campaign. Why can't black Americans use that same energy towards supporting my film project and to build Gakai of Chicago? Notice how black American women have raised $1.5 million for Kamala Harris' political campaign. Historically, black American women have made vital contributions to social and political movements such as the civil rights movement to present-day advocacy. If only black American women and black American men would harness that same energy to help raise funds for this film project, that would be great. Truth be told, I would not have to make a film if Black America would have embraced my revised book and my virtual store 12 years ago. But it is what it is. I am trying to build a multi-purpose facility known as the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. My Christian business will be private and membership-based because Black Chicagoans have rejected and overlooked my vision and plan for the past 32 years. Through Gakai Chicago, we will teach our members and students about practicing group economics in real time. We will own and control our own schools and businesses within the African American community and the African immigrant community. Our objective is to mobilize like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants within the United States of America to channel their energy towards solving Black issues at the grassroots level, which is the community. Join the conversation with your ideas and comment about the impact of collective action and the vital role of Black American men and women in making Black America great once again. Kamala Harris' campaign received a boost when 44,000 Black women raised 1.5 million for Kamala Harris in just 3 hours, according to Ford magazine, Fortune magazine. To read the full article, just go to my Medium transcript, which is found below this video podcast in the comments section. Click on the link. My critics say that my video podcast sound monotone. Well, so what? So be it. I'm going to continue to read my speeches because I want the whole black world to hear me loud and clear. I have something positive to offer, and I refuse to be ignored. Okay, so click on the link and scroll down to show and prove. Black women are the voting bloc for the Democrat Party. Black women's political power goes far beyond the party's loyalty, but how come black women can't channel that same energy into supporting my film project? I have 2,000 people on my Facebook friends list alone, but only one person has donated to my film project this year. And that's unacceptable, Black America. That's unacceptable. This is how come I do my video podcasts. If you're not interested in what we're talking about over here, delete me off your friends list and do not come to no events with my name on it. And I mean that. I'm not looking for friends. I'm not looking for people to like me or acceptance. I'm looking to solve problems within the black community, and I'm looking for other like-minded Black Americans and like-minded Africans to work with me to help speed up this process so I can get this thing popping. Work with me while I'm alive. Again, work with me while I'm alive. Don't wait till I'm dead. Because then, let's say the LGBT community are trying to hijack this. We ain't trying to have that. Focus, what kind of message are we sending to black children? And I would say African children around the globe. For 32 years, black Chicagoans have taken me for a joke. This is why I created my virtual this platform right here. Get my message out loud and clear. I'm trying to build something positive and constructive. We will promote black economic empowerment through our black films. We will become a tax base in both the African American community and the African immigrant community. And both communities will benefit, especially the residents. We would love to hear from our listeners from the global community. I welcome my listeners to make arrangements with me to come on this platform, get on camera, and let's talk about it. So again, on July 21st, Black women hosted a 4-hour Zoom call, and they attracted 44,000 participants. They raised $1.5 million for Kamala Harris. Then on July 22nd, Black Men for Harris did a 6-hour Zoom call, and it attracted 54,000 participants, and they raised if black women can be that powerful with your black dollars, why can't we be that powerful about this film project and about improving our communities. Black Americans are always supporting other groups, but what about educating our own people about finances, home ownership, and the stock market? In Greater Chicago, we will teach our members and students the importance of financial literacy. I believe this will make a huge difference in our communities here in America and in Africa. We now live in the information age and have access to the internet. We cannot continue to blame the white man for all the things that are going wrong in our communities today. For example, the white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying my revised book. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from buying items from my virtual store. The white man is not stopping Black Americans from donating to the film project. That's a personal choice. Many Black people support the dope man. He is looked upon as a hero. How do I know? Because when I was a teenager, that's all my so-called friends talked about, being a dope boy. Now he is lacing his street drugs with fentanyl, something that will kill you faster. In contrast, I sell ideas, and I'm trying to build something constructive for Black millennials and Generation Z. But I need your support in order to turn my ideas into a reality. It takes capital. The only thing that is holding me back is this Willie Lynch mentality that was imposed on my racial group by the white supremacist financial elites. Black Americans as a collective have $1 trillion. We have to separate ourselves from those who don't want anything out of life and don't have any ambitions. We have to support one another. We have to practice group economics and work together as a team and spend things and our spending power together. We have to fight against this Stockholm syndrome. It's unfortunate that many Black Americans still have a slave mentality because many of our people have become Americanized, as I said earlier. For example, we would host Christian spoken word versus secular spoken word, and whoever flows with the best flow would win $500 in cash, and that's our way of trying to win the youth, for something, doing stuff positive. That's all I'm saying. We will also promote healthy Black families in our Black empowerment films and offer stipends to incentivize our Black youth who act in our films and stage plays. If we could raise money for politicians and buy name brand items for a fashion statement, then why can't we find funds to do the same thing to fund this film project? That's all I'm saying. We will take the lead in educating the next generation by making our presence known in the African American community. Starting on the west side of Chicago, we will cover Austin, Garfield Park, and North Lawndale, and eventually expand to the south side of Chicago and make our presence known in the African American community and the African immigrant community over there as well. We would encourage our members and students to volunteer some of their time within the business because we aim to become the heart of the community. We will host educational workshops and seminars for academic purposes. I believe that all Black Americans are resilient and have natural talents. The CAM members worldwide will have a voice. We have a lot of diverse voices within the African diaspora, from Black Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Latinos, as well as continental Africans. I have been committed to advocating every day to creating a positive change for Black people and African people through uh, this platform. I don't want to be doing this another 32 years. It's time for us to move Gurkhan to the next level by getting behind this film project in order for us to reach the Black masses and the Black world. I am as real as they come. I see all these fake Black activists just sitting around behind a computer and talking a good game. We're 400 years behind these other groups due to American slavery and colonization. We're way more than that today, academically and financially. Black Americans do a lot of talking, but in my business, we're going to take action and make an impact within our community, starting in Chicago. We're waiting for a savior. Jesus/Yahshua has already came and gave us power. Like I said, we have to separate ourselves from the naysayers and self-hating Negroes who's not doing anything productive. There is an African proverb that says, when you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. According to The Guardian, quote, median wealth of Black Americans will fall to zero by 2053, unquote. To read the full article, just go to my Medium transcript, which is found below this video podcast. In the comment section, click on the link and scroll down to show and prove. I predict the year will be 2050 if we don't deal head on with this Willie Lynch mentality within Black society. That's going to be the downfall of Black America, point blank. We're not working together. Just look at how long it's taken me to get this film project fully funded and made. We're divided based on social class, religion, and political affiliation. Over here, we're not Democrats nor Republicans because the white supremacist financial elites created both political parties to give the American people a false illusion that we have a choice. We're independent and we're not affiliated with anyone. We're nonpartisan. On this platform and in my future business, we're M1, meaning melanated first. We are about uplifting our community, pushing towards reparations for descendants of American slaves, and also pushing for an anti-Black hate crime bill. Reparations will help close the wealth gap between Blacks and whites in America. I don't believe that any intelligent Black person would be fighting over American politics because the African American community doesn't benefit, at least when it comes to economic tangibles, whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office. The only thing that they give us is symbolism. Thank you, Black America. We'll see you in the next 4 years. Go ahead, prove me wrong. As I mentioned in my revised book, there's no difference between liberals or conservatives. Either is willing to alter the socioeconomic conditions for Black Americans. That is being at the bottom of the totem pole. The foundation of America is anti-Black racism, which was created by the white supremacist financial elites before the U.S. Constitution was written. They created white privilege and this political system. They made their wealth by stealing and colonizing Africa, Australia, Canada, Latin America, and the New World, which is now the United States of America. Every place that they went, they hoard all of the natural resources and impose their economy. The father of white supremacy is Caesar Augusta. Um, According to Luke chapter 2, verse 1. Read that, please. As well as Acts chapters 17, verses 6 through 7 from the King James Version. Prior to Europe coming to African shores during the Dark Ages, in Europe, they had nothing going on. As soon as Europeans migrated to Africa, all of a sudden Europe became prosperous. They also made their wealth from black enslavement of our ancestors who built the United States of America. The white supremacist financial elites was too lazy to work in those fields. They wanted free labor. Then, after 246 years of enslavement, they imposed Jim Crow, which is legal segregation, convict leasing, and institutionalized racism. All these legal experts are aware of what their ancestors have done to Black Americans. They gave reparations to Native Americans for the Trail of Tears. And none of those people, that was like after 200 and something years, 250 years later, none of those people were alive, but yet, they got compensation, which is, a form of reparations. The Japanese Americans, they also received compensation for their grievances. So the same thing should happen for descendants of American slaves. If you want our vote, then we demand economic tangibles in the forms of lineage-based cash payment reparations for descendants of American slaves. We also demand an anti-Black hate crime bill. No reparations, then no vote. These white supremacist financial elites do not believe in sharing or surrendering power or resources. We have to call them out, and we have to focus on building an alliance with Africa, because if we lose Africa, we lose everything. The battle is not for America. The battle is for Africa. Black Americans have never had more than 1% of anything of value in the richest nation on earth and suffer from a disproportionate share of social pathologies. Majority of these cities are ran by Democrats. What does the African American community get out of voting without demanding economic tangibles? The Black Boule gets paid to mislead Black Americans. That's why I come with receipts to back up my statements. I don't see any evidence to prove that voting has helped improve the social conditions of Black Americans as a whole. Black Americans have been voting Democrat for the past 60 years, and look at our communities today. If only Black Americans would use that same energy we use on voting to building the Kyle Chicago, we can create and produce our own Black institutions like schools, hospitals, basically the same thing our ancestors did during Black Wall Street. It's my hope that Cacao Chicago will get up and running in my lifetime. This is very hard and difficult. This is the hardest thing I have ever done before in my life, but I'm dedicated to this. I'm doing the best that I can. And again, all these naysayers, I don't have nothing to prove to them. I'm just trying to help the next generation. That's all. If only we use that same energy we use on voting to build Black wealth and investing in Black youth. What if we use that same energy we use on voting to build healthy Black families? What if we use that same energy we use on voting to secure our neighborhoods from crime? I saw a video of Black men that got together and raised a lot of money for Kamala Harris political campaign because they wanted to be a part of the in crowd. It's so frustrating that those same men can't get together and raise funds for my film project, which will help benefit the African American community. That's a doggone shame. I'm not interested in running for public office because that is somebody else's system. I'm trying to build a business from the ground up, getting uh, financial support from the black grassroots and the global African family. The white supremacist financial elites would never fund a business like mine because they don't want to see healthy traditional black families. These career black politicians are bought and paid for by the white supremacist financial elites to do a nothing approach for black Americans. In other words, they are in the office to serve everyone else but black Americans. That is why things don't get done. It's not only limited to America. It took Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger 39 years to finally kick out the French from their country because they had to connect with other like-minded Africans who really wanted their country and resources back. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get this film project fully funded and made, but at least I'm documenting everything I'm doing, and there is no excuse. Out of 2,000 people on my Facebook friends list, only one person has donated. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Um, this woman said on the grill, quote, I'm not going to do anything that only benefits black people, no, unquote. But she specifically gave Asians an anti-hate crime bill. She specifically gave Ukraine and Israel money to fund their wars. She specifically gave illegal immigrants food, medical assistance, and shelter. Those leading the Black Civil Rights Movement did not understand how political correctness of diversity created by the white supremacist financial elites, because they was using word games. So they turned a blind eye on the needs of black Americans in society. They want to bypass racial issues by using code words like diversity, which force blacks to compete with the buffer class minorities such as Asians, Latinos, and white women that liberals have added to the pot in this kumbaya effort to share the resources with everybody else. The only problem is that these other groups were never enslaved. When you're being convinced to allow these other groups to piggyback off our struggle, then there's nothing left for us. White liberals impeded on black social economic progress by using euphemisms, by equating black suffering to discrimination experienced by other groups. They are offered to both the private and public sector. For example, affirmative action only benefited white women more than it benefited black Americans. The American ranking order of social acceptability put black Americans at the bottom of the totem pole, while white women and immigrants are placed ahead of black Americans. When we show up and say no one else can speak for us, especially if they're not from our lineage, people like Barack Obama and Kamala Harris, they can't speak for us because they're not from the soil. They're not descendants of American slaves. We have a legitimate grievance, and we want our claim to be treated with the same dignity and respect that they give these other groups. There is no need for a study. Our situation is well documented in American history books. The fact that there are black people living today who survived Black Wall Street but were denied their compensation shows how racist America still is today. Black Americans have been racially targeted, and our land, property, money, and resources have been taken away from us. The dominant society acts like it never happened. The white supremacist financial elites created a national policy of benign and neglect in the mid 70s to take the focus off of black issues. The U.S. government reclassified Arabs, Asians, Latinos, Native Americans, and white women as minorities for them to compete against Black Americans for resources. None of these other groups, again, needed the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment of the Constitution. Black Americans have experienced injustice since 1619. Diversity and political correctness displaced Black Americans as a protected class. Reparation is something specifically for Black Americans. We have to gatekeep that in our culture. In Ghettos, Chicago, we would teach our members and students how to build generational wealth because our wealth was stolen from our ancestors. That's what we're trying to fight for, because all Black Americans can't just up and leave America due to economics. American politicians claim that American democracy, free values, freedom, and immigration policy made the United States of America an exceptional nation. The window of opportunity is closing. If Black Americans do does not confront this Willie Lynch mentality, it's going to be devastating for our children. They will become a permanent underclass in America, and we don't want that. Underclass status is measured by groups standing on social discomfort, such as health. Black Americans are at the bottom in terms of mental health and physical health. We have the highest unemployment rate in all major cities. In education, as a group, we have 400 years of fighting the wrong battle. We are distinguished from other groups in America. We deserve specific policies only for us, like the anti-Black hate crime bill, the U.S. Constitution, the U.S. Supreme Court, and the state Jim Crow laws only group people classified as property, 3/5 of a human descendants of American slaves. $50 million stolen by whites from the Freedmen's Bank. Why is it that so many of these institutions are not owned by Black Americans, but were built by Black Americans? No other group of people in America can say they went through what our ancestors went through. Please leave a public comment about the topic in the comments section below this video podcast and share with your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I'm going to send a challenge out to everybody that's listening to this video podcast. I need you all to support our film project so that we can move beyond cyberspace and get our story on the big screen to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to do for our people who are trapped in American ghettos, starting in Chicago. Quote, Hood Liberator made in Chicago, the war against Willie Lynch begins. You will be part of this historic docudrama by contributing to our campaigns either on our GoFundMe page or on our PayPal page, which will help fund marketing, promotion, clearance, legal, and general expenses. Please join GRCAM by joining either my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group, or Christian Spoken Word Network, or join my secular groups, Ghettos of Africa, Ghettos of Chicago, or New Black Voices of Media, etc. Also exchange emails with me so that way we can stay connected, because this is my third Facebook page and hackers are forever bugging. I would like to thank everyone who have contributed or will contribute to support us on our GoFundMe page, or if you are a U.S. citizen, then you can use our PayPal page as a tax write-off, because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit faith-based community advocacy organization. You can also purchase items from our virtual store or purchase my revised book, The ebook is $9.99, or the paperback is $15 plus shipping and handling. We appreciate your support. You can find all the links below this video podcast in the comment section. If you're listening to this audio podcast on Spotify, just click on the YouTube icon and look to the far right next to my photo, and it will say more links. Just scroll down. That's going to conclude our video podcast for today. We will see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings.